Okay, so today, Caesaris De Bello Gallico, we're on to chapter 2 of book 1 now. We're just going to do lines 1 through 5. Pretty short little section. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing, apud, it's a preposition, object there directly following, so among the Helvetians, we have this longe kind of adverb thing, and then we have this adjective, and it's going to be like the most high-born, sort of most high-born, and really this adverb is kind of going to be modifying this adjective here, by far the most high-born. And with no subject kind of noun shown, we're just going to kind of be like, there has been, we have an et, and then, oh gosh, another adjective. So we're just going to translate that kind of in parallel with this. And then we have Orgetorix, kind of suspense, sort of, in a way, of holding the subject until the very end of the sentence. We're going to be like, there was, or there has been. And let's go ahead and kind of Englishify this sentence. So there has been, that fuit, among the Helvetians, Orgetorix. And then we'll describe him with this, by far the most high-born and wealthy, which is going to be that ditus, and then of course extended by that issimus kind of superlative form right there. So Orgetorix is really, he's one of these important people, important noble kind of guys among the Helvetians there. And he's going to be kind of the focus of this following chapter. So we'll go ahead on to the next sentence here. We have the masculine singular personal pronoun, he, and we have a lot of things that appear to be in ablative. Marco me sala et Marco pupio pisone consulibus. And immediately we see two people and you're talking about consuls. It's got to be an ablative of time. If you don't know it already, you should know that the Romans like to refer to their years based on who were the consuls at the time, because they were elected yearly. So each year would be marked by a different set of names, and it became very useful to, even in poetry, to talk about certain years as being in the reign of who and ever, and so forth. And so we'll go ahead and say he, and we'll set it off as kind of another constituent here. In the consulships of, and even though it's in the genitive case, I'm just going to say this because it really fits a little better in English, of M. me sala and M. pupius piso. And nominatives are pretty easy to define, but just looking at what kind of ablative ending there is. Pupio simply is that second declension kind of US ending, and then of course this E and this N right after an O. It's a kind of a piso, pisonus kind of thing, and it's really how it's just going to be. So he in the consulships of Marcus Mesala and Marcus Pupius Piso. What does he do? And we'll go on to the next little line here to figure that out. So, of power, genitive, masculine there, of power, of a domain or something, and we have this cupiditate, and you can obviously see the cupid in there. It's going to be longing or desire, and it's ablative with that E, third declension ending there. A participle, and it's got the US referring directly to the subject, so we'll go ahead and translate that participle. So having been led on, very kind of literal, looking at the duco, ducera, and then the N in there, led on by a longing or desire, longing of power. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this as for, it sounds better in English, by a longing for power. And then we have some more words here, conjurationem and nobilitatis. that's genitive, and this is accusative, and this is going to be our object. And this computer, so he's going to be making a conspiracy of high renown, or just renown. And finally we have fake it. So he has made, having been led on by a longing for power, has made a conspiracy of high renown. Now there are a lot of ways to look at this word right here. You could say that it's a band of conspirators. So he made a conspiracy as in kind of an organization or a group, a movement maybe. But either way, it's going to be formed up of noble kind of people, of high-born people, and it's going to be something that's kind of, the rulers of the Helvetians might not have that in their best interest. So let's take off that period. We're going to go on with at the end of that line and continue. So we have civitati, and it's in the dative, I, third declension ending, persuasit. So he has persuaded or convinced, and that takes a dative object. So it's going to be he has persuaded or convinced the people. I'm going to say he convinced. And has convinced the people. Ut. And immediately it's either going to be so that or as. Let's just go on and go through each word and kind of understand the meaning that we're getting at here. So that or as. De finibus suis. So this is going to be from their own borders. It's a location, so we're going to take de as from, as very physical. They're maybe going away, or something's coming from it. So it means from their own territory. With, we had another ablative sort of prepositional phrase here, with all their supplies exerent. And this is going to be the subjunctive imperfect. And as you can see, it's really just a form of exeo, exera, to go out. So that they should, or so that they might, I'll put might, they might go out, and I'll say leave. They might leave from their own borders. And when finis is in the plural number, we can say that it's their territory. So from their own territory, with all their supplies. So really he's made this kind of movement, and he wants to convince the people to leave. And we're going to hear more about this, certainly. This is a very interesting little story that we're getting at, and it's going to end up having some bearing, of course. It is in this Gallic War. We're going to end up having some bearing on some sort of conflict or something that might happen between Caesar and the Helvetians. So Orgetorix wants to leave, and directly after this we see this per facile, very easy, quite easy, kind of a little thoroughly easy maybe. Instead of having the isime, we have instead this per, which is a little different than most superlatives, and it certainly is not superlative in its construction, but we kind of translate it as very easy or quite easy. And we have this essay, and immediately, because we have the colon, which is given to us by the writers of the textbook, and this essay, we can see that it's going to be an indirect statement. What is he literally saying to them? He's convinced the people, and we have this subjunctive statement, so that it might, kind of the design or the purpose of doing it, and then we have the literal of what he's conveying, and so, he's saying that it is quite easy. When, it's cum right there, when, where tute omnibus praestaderent, and when in strength or with strength for all, it's dative there, probably starent, and that's going to take a dative object, so we have it all set up. When they should surpass, this can mean perform, fulfill, or maybe even show or display. When it has this dative object, it means surpass, kind of in a comparative manner. They should fulfill for all. It might sort of outshine the others in their duty, so they should surpass all in their strength. So it seems the Helvetians, they kind of realize, or at least Orgetorix does, the strength as Caesar described in book 1, or chapter 1. And then finally we have this Totius Gallii Imperio Potiri, and that's going to be another part of this indirect statement. We're kind of describing it with a subjunctive phrase here, which as a dependent clause is kind of just tacked on to the main parts of this indirect discourse. And so we have the whole of Gaul, and we have this imperio, power or reign or domain or something of that nature. And it's just going to be this potiri, take possession of, or get, obtain even, and that it is quite easy. And really, it's infinitive. We got to remember that we have already that it is quite easy, and this is really going to be a predicate kind of gerund almost, because you're talking about the action of to take or to obtain. It's quite easy when they should surpass all in their strength to obtain the whole of Gaul. Notice that feminine and I right there, so it's going to be Gaul, not the people who live in Gaul. The whole of Gaul with their power. So that about finishes things up.